Imagine inviting your downtrodden ex-wife to your lavish wedding just to flaunt your new life and humiliate her in front of everyone you know, only to have her walk in and shatter your world with a revelation that leaves the entire room gasping in shock, twists upon twists that prove karma isn't just a word, it's a force of nature. If you crave stories packed with revenge, redemption, and jaw-dropping surprises like this one, hit that subscribe button right now for more epic tales that will keep you on the edge of your seat. In the bustling city of New York, where skyscrapers pierced the clouds like ambitious dreams, lived a man named Alexander Thorne, a once struggling entrepreneur who had clawed his way to the top of the corporate ladder through sheer ruthlessness and a bit of luck. But his story truly began years earlier when he was married to Elena Vargas, a kind-hearted woman from a modest background who had supported him through his early failures, working 2 jobs as a teacher and a waitress to keep their tiny apartment afloat while he chased venture after venture that inevitably crashed and burned. Yet Elena never complained, always believing in his potential with a faith that bordered on saintly, cooking his favorite meals after long days and encouraging him with soft words that mended his bruised ego. But as Alexander's first big break came, a tech startup that exploded overnight thanks to a viral app he developed, he began to change, the money flowing in like a torrent, transforming him from a grateful husband into an arrogant mogul who viewed Elena's simplicity as a chain holding him back, her worn clothes and lack of social polish embarrassing him at high society events where he now mingled with investors and celebrities. And so it was that one fateful evening, after a particularly lavish party where Elena had accidentally spilled wine on a potential partner's dress, Alexander exploded in rage back home, accusing her of sabotaging his image, declaring that she was no longer fit for his world, and filing for divorce the very next day, leaving her with nothing but a small settlement that barely covered her rent, while he kept the penthouse, the cars, and the burgeoning empire, reveling in his freedom as he dated models and socialites, eventually proposing to Victoria Langford, a stunning heiress whose family owned half the real estate in Manhattan, their engagement announced in glossy magazines as the union of power and beauty, a match made in boardroom heaven, and as the wedding plans unfolded in extravagant detail, a venue at the opulent Grand Plaza Hotel, invitations sent to the elite, a menu curated by Michelin-starred chefs, Alexander couldn't resist one final act of pettiness, deciding to invite Elena, his poor ex-wife, not out of goodwill but to humiliate her, imagining her showing up in her threadbare dress amidst the sea of designer gowns, a living reminder of how far he had risen while she remained stuck in mediocrity, perhaps even assigning her a seat at the back near the kitchens to underscore her irrelevance, chuckling to himself as he penned the invitation with a mocking note. "Come see what real success looks like, Elena. Don't worry, we'll have scraps for you," and sealing it with a flourish, convinced this would be the cherry on top of his triumphant life. Meanwhile Elena, now living in a cramped studio apartment in Brooklyn, scraping by on her teaching salary and occasional freelance writing gigs, received the invitation with a mix of hurt and quiet resolve, her friends urging her to tear it up and move on, but something stirred within her, a fire long dormant since the divorce 3 years ago, when Alexander had not only left her penniless but spread rumors that she was unstable, costing her job opportunities and isolating her from mutual acquaintances. Yet unbeknownst to him, Elena had been rebuilding in secret, channeling her pain into a passion project, an online blog about personal growth and resilience that had quietly gained traction, evolving into a self-help empire under a pseudonym, Phoenix Rising, where she shared stories of overcoming betrayal, amassing millions of followers without revealing her identity, partnering with publishers for books that became bestsellers, and investing wisely in stocks and real estate, turning her modest settlement into a fortune that rivaled Alexander's. But she kept it all hidden, driving an old car and dressing simply to avoid the spotlight, preferring authenticity over flash. And as the wedding date approached, Elena decided to attend, not for revenge at first, but to close the chapter on her own terms, spending weeks preparing in ways Alexander could never anticipate, consulting with stylists in secret, commissioning a custom gown from a renowned designer who owed her a favor from a book endorsement, and reaching out to old contacts who had seen through Alexander's facade, including a few of his business partners who harbored grudges over shady deals he had pulled. But the real twist lay in a discovery Elena had made months earlier while researching for her blog. Evidence of Alexander's startup success being built on stolen code from a former colleague, a whistleblower who had approached her anonymously, providing documents that could unravel his empire if exposed. Yet she had held back, unsure if vengeance was her path, until the invitation arrived like a slap, igniting her decision to not just show up, but to arrive in a way that would shock everyone. And so on the day of the wedding, the Grand Plaza buzzed with excitement, guests in tuxedos and jewels sipping champagne under crystal chandeliers, Victoria preening in her Vera Wang gown, Alexander smirking as he greeted dignitaries, occasionally glancing at the door for Alina's pitiful entrance, imagining the whispers and laughs that would follow her. But as the ceremony neared, a hush fell over the crowd when a sleek black limousine pulled up, not the beat-up taxi he expected, and out stepped Elena, transformed beyond recognition, her hair cascading in elegant waves, makeup flawless, wearing a crimson gown that hugged her figure like a second skin, diamonds glittering at her neck, jewels loaned from a celebrity follower of her blog, and on her arm, none other than Marcus Hale, the billionaire venture capitalist who was Alexander's biggest rival, a man known for crushing competitors, and whom Elena had met at a charity event under her pseudonym, their connection blossoming into a genuine romance that she had kept private, the guests murmuring in confusion and awe as Elena glided in, her poise radiating confidence, Alexander's face paling as he recognized her, but before he could react, the first twist unfolded. During the cocktail hour, Elena casually conversed with Victoria's father, a powerful tycoon, revealing in subtle terms that she was the anonymous author of Phoenix Rising, the book series that had inspired his own daughter's entrepreneurial ventures. Victoria overhearing and gasping, "You're Phoenix? But you're Alexander's ex." The room rippling with surprise as word spread, Elena's hidden success coming to light, her net worth whispered to be in the hundreds of millions, far surpassing Alexander's inflated claims. But that was just the beginning, for as the toasts began, Elena was unexpectedly called to speak by Victoria, who, in a moment of misguided curiosity, thought it would be poignant to hear from the ex-wife. Alexander sweating bullets as Elena took the microphone with grace, starting innocently enough by wishing the couple well, recounting fond memories of her marriage to remind everyone of their shared past, but then twisting the knife with poise, saying, "Alexander taught me the value of resilience, especially when success is built on foundations that aren't entirely one's own." Her eyes locking on his as she alluded to the stolen code without naming it, the whistleblower documents safely tucked in her clutch, ready to deploy if needed. But the real shock came when Marcus, her date, stood up beside her, announcing publicly for the first time that he was investing in Elena's new venture, a tech platform for empowering women in business, and casually mentioning that he had recently acquired a majority stake in the Grand Plaza Hotel, the very venue Alexander had boasted about booking at a premium, revealing that Elena had influenced the decision to host the wedding at a discounted rate as a favor to her ex, the implication clear. She could have cancelled it all with a word. Alexander's humiliation deepening as guests laughed nervously, realizing he had invited his own downfall, Victoria shooting him accusatory glances, her family's whispers turning to doubts about the marriage. But wait, there was more, a deeper twist lurking in Elena's past that even she had only recently uncovered through a DNA test prompted by her blog research on family secrets. Alexander wasn't who he claimed to be, his rags to riches story a fabrication. As the test revealed, he was the long-lost son of a disgraced financier who had faked his death to escape embezzlement charges, a fact Elena confirmed with private investigators, and during her speech, she dropped the bomb subtly, saying, "We all have hidden histories, don't we, Alex? Like how some family ties are buried deeper than others," handing him an envelope as she stepped down, containing the evidence, his hands trembling as he opened it in private, the wedding descending into chaos as rumors flew, Victoria confronting him about the lies, her father pulling him aside to question the integrity of their business merger tied to the marriage, and in a final, devastating turn, Elena revealed one last secret. The app that launched Alexander's career wasn't just built on stolen code, it was her idea, brainstormed late nights in their apartment, with notes she had kept as proof, now shared with Marcus, who promised to sue for intellectual property theft. The guests watching in stunned silence as Alexander's facade crumbled, his bride storming off, the cake uncut, the band playing awkwardly, Elena walking out with Marcus, not triumphant but liberated, her arrival having shocked everyone indeed, proving that humiliation invited often boomerangs with ferocious force. And as the night ended, Alexander alone in the empty hall, reflecting on how his petty invitation had unraveled his life, while Elena drove off into a future bright with possibility, her story becoming legend in the city's whispers, a tale of twists where the underdog rises not just to survive, but to soar, leaving the arrogant grounded in their own traps. And in the years that followed, Elena's empire grew, her books inspiring millions, her relationship with Marcus blossoming into marriage on their own terms, simple and sincere, far from the ostentatious spectacle Alexander had planned, a reminder that true wealth lies not in bank accounts but in character, and that inviting pain from the past can summon ghosts more powerful than anticipated, with Elena's final twist being her forgiveness, not for him, but for herself, releasing the bitterness to embrace joy, her arrival at that wedding not just a shock, but a rebirth, echoed in the hashtag tales of redemption that followed her everywhere.